Welcome to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show with your hosts, Phil Proctor and Ted Bonnet. Phil and Ted's guest is artist, screen actor, and master impressionist Jim Meskimen. And now, your Sexy Boomer hosts, Phil Proctor and Ted Bonnet.
Welcome to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show. I'm Ted Bonnet.
And I'm Rocky Rococo, you stupid fool. Proctor is locked in the closet back there. Oh, he'll never get out now.
Okay. All right, Rocky, get the hell out of the room.
Get your hands off me.
Okay, good.
Thanks for bringing him along.
Yeah, well, I am Phil Proctor.
No, I am Phil. Shut up.
I'm terribly sorry about that, especially to our guests over here. First of all, I want to introduce Christopher Walken.
Hello, Phil. How are you?
I'm good.
It's
good to see
be
you
here.
again, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you're going to do a little dancing for us later.
Do a
I
little
understand.
dance.
Oh,
Cut a rug.
that's great. And we're very happy to have Morgan Freeman here.
Hello, Phil. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, well, you're going to tell us something about working with Clint Eastwood, I believe, right?
You betcha. I'm going to lay everything out.
I can't wait to hear this.
Withhold nothing at all.
Sorry. And now, really, a very special and surprise guest, Robin Williams.
Oh, well, it is a big surprise, when someone dead shows up. It's a bit shocking, right?
I wanted to ask you about that. Is there comedy in the life beyond?
It's only comedy. You see everything for what it is, It's all just this strange dichotomy of true and false, right and wrong, black and white. It's like the real estate in Tarzana.
Does God have a sense of humor?
He's a funny guy.
and finally, Colonel. Oh, the Colonel.
Yeah.
Colonel Sanders.
I thought you never introduced me. You had all those other Hollywood types up ahead of me.
Well,
it's more appropriate, I think, to introduce an entrepreneur.
Absolutely right.
And thanks for bringing the chicken.
You betcha. I hope you enjoy it.
But I understand you kicked the bucket.
Go.
Many times. Many times.
And one of the wonderful things about having you here, Colonel, is that I've enjoyed your interviews with modern celebrities. They're phone calls, basically, from beyond the grave, I imagine, or the gravy. Beyond the gravy.
Beyond the gravy,
right.
yeah, definitely.
And
beyond the biscuit.
They're fascinating, and you can see them among the other videos that our special guest, Jim Meskimen, take off your mask and say hello.
There it is.
It's me.
Jim Meskimen, the man of 1,000 voices, the one and many. A dear friend and an amazing talent. And one of the things that's so much fun about knowing Jim is that you can see his characters and his genius on a very regular basis. He posts videos at
actually on YouTube, just on YouTube, and Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I'm at Jimpressions, and on YouTube, you just look up Jimpressions or Meskimen, and you'll find it.
Hundreds and hundreds of videos.
I think it's thousands at this point because I do at least one video a day, which is my celebrity fortune cookie. My daughter helps me with this. We conceived that we needed to make regular, appearances on YouTube, and that perhaps then the algorithm would smile on us, and we would, just make more friends and have more success that way. Didn't really turn out to be true, but it didn't seem to make any difference at all to the algorithm, which is probably kept in a very secret place, top of a mountain somewhere in Bali.
Under a mountain.
I'm learning that if you put links to your website on YouTube, they're going to suppress you. They don't want people leaving YouTube.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. There is a video we saw last night. It must have been tough when Robin Williams passed to be able to cross that bridge, and you did it in this beautiful way. You wrote a poem.
Yeah, well, Robin passed away, and that's like one of those days that you just don't forget where you were and who told you and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And it was just so counterintuitive and unexpected.
Yep.
And I remember a fellow told me over the phone, I'm like, what? No. And then all that day, I was just, I didn't know Robin. I met him a couple times, but I didn't know him at all. But in a way, I felt like, I had been being at least the Blue Genie character for Disney for quite a few years before he passed. And I always felt a connection to him because he had actually gotten his start on my mom's show, Happy Days. I felt very close to him because he came to prominence when I was in high school, and I saw it happen, and I was like, oh my God, he had what I conceived to be a similar skill set.
Chops or
interests, let's say, and obsessions with the accents and voices and characters and quick changing and all that stuff. And I went, oh, okay, well, he beat me to that. And but he actually beat me to something that I couldn't even conceive existed. So I think that's all fair. If somebody goes ahead and does something beyond your imagination, then you're like, oh, well, I certainly can't hold it against the guy.
That's right. He was a complete trailblazer. I remember when Procter and Bergman were touring, we played in Aspen, or the Aspen, as I like to call it, and he had just performed at the place we were performing at, and he was the talk of the town.
Yeah.
He said he could improvise with anything. He was amazing. And I'm very happy that I did get to meet him and hang out with him when he was doing Mork and Mindy, and he would do. I mean, he'd tape a show or rehearse a show or something, and then he'd go out and improvise with a group of zanies in a club at night.
Yeah.
It's the indefatigable energy.
Right. Well, as performers, I think we understand that, because people always come up with us after a play and go, "Are you just exhausted?" They look at it as a kind of a quantitative activity, where creativity is not really that way. The artist is often creating something out of nothing. They're creating energy out of nothing. They're creating, aesthetics and so forth, literally from there's nothing there at all. And so it's not like you've now tapped this and expended your entire reserve,
right,
and you're now effete and spent. It's that you're like, no, now I'm just getting going because this flow has begun. And it's jazz musicians and all these people, they stay up all night.
Sure.
Sometimes assisted by illegal chemicals.
And also, I mean, it's very energizing to do what we do. When you perform, especially if you're supported by an audience that understands what you're doing, and there's help is kind of like the waves underneath your surfboard. When it's over, you're
it's always goes back to
go.
Surfing with you, Phil.
I have a surfeit of other metaphors. Let me just say something. Jim is a director, a writer, an artist, a voiceover artist, a graphic artist, a cartoonist, a musician.
Well, I sing. I play the ukulele a little bit.
What have I left off?
I'm also an unemployed actor, unemployed writer, unemployed artist, unemployed painter.
And fine artistry. That's your first love, right?
Yeah, yes, I did. I wanted to be a painter and an artist when I was a kid, and I finally did get some fantastic painting instruction, which changed my life. And then once, you go down a path because you go, hey, this path looks great.
Yeah.
And then you think, oh, this will be it. And then you go down the path and you go, wow, well, okay, I learned how to do that. Kind of lonely. Maybe a little lonely path.
That's
right.
right.
I'd rather be on the path where there's some other guys on that.
Tell me about the transition.
I was struggling with this problem in my 20s of what path should I devote my entire attentions to. When you're young, you feel like everything's very desperate, and it's very clear you have to go one way or another way. And I don't know. I felt that way. And indeed, if you're going to be a painter, you're going to spend hours and hours in the studio. If you're going to be an actor, you're going to be spending hours and hours doing that, reading plays, rehearsing, learning lines. And so I felt very frustrated because I loved both of them, and I thought, well, something in me dies if I don't pick the right one. And I was very confused about it, frankly. And I had a moment of clarity when I was in Madrid, Spain. I had just come off of being just a painter and studying and being with friends in the countryside of Spain for quite a while.
Beautiful.
And getting into all kinds of personal problems and social problems and everything else that you do in your 20s. And then I was walking down the street and I was looking at the posters that were up in Madrid at the time. This tells you when it was, because they were posters of the King of Comedy, El Rey de Comedia, that was the Robert De Niro Scorsese film that was just going to start opening, right? King of Comedy. And I was looking at those posters and going, man, I want to see that movie. I dig those actors. I dig that kind of filmmaking. And I just seen Mean Streets at a revival house. And I'm like, yeah, I want to see that movie. And I walked down the street and I don't know, 2 minutes later, I ran into Harvey Keitel in Madrid.
What?
Yeah. And I stopped him and talked to him a little bit.
He was very nice. He chatted to me, He's a very convivial guy. He was like, oh, I'm here shooting a movie. And it's exciting. I'm staying here to, blah, blah, blah.
And I he maybe spent 2 minutes with me, and then I we separated, and I noticed that my heart was just pounding out of my chest. Wow. The excitement of that chance meeting was just like, wow, devastating to me. And I had the presence of mind to go, that's interesting. I'm really excited by that. I'm excited by this man and that his job and his art, and I've been around a lot of really amazing painters, and I've seen some amazing stuff, but I didn't have my heart bang out of my chest that way. Nota bene, let's pay attention to that. Mm-hmm. And so at that moment, I made this decision. I went, okay, I will be an actor.
Wow.
Because I'd been struggling with that question for so long, and I was like, it was like the tipping point, I guess you might say. And then I immediately made plans to move to New York City and start my acting career.
When was Impressionism of interest to you? When were you impressed by Impressionism?
Well, as a kid, I used to watch TV, and I felt myself I felt so lucky if by chance I happened to turn the TV on and Rich Little was on.
Oh, yes.
Or someone like that. But I mean, Rich Little's kind of like the guy. He's like the Elvis of Impressionists. But at the time, I just enjoyed the hell out of it. And I thought, ooh, but I never thought, wow, that could be me. I could put on a tuxedo and be on a dais with celebrities. And I never had that dream. I never had that thought. It was just a thing to play with. I never had that ambition. And indeed, I kind of neglected it as a branding thing or a path well into my adulthood. But I always did it. And when it came up, I could provide it. But I didn't go, hey, I'm the impressionist until, I was in my mid-20s. And then I would kind of let it go because I wanted to be an actor. That was my main thing. Yep. I didn't want to be the guy in a comedy club. I never played comedy clubs. I don't care for comedy clubs. I don't go to them. I'm just not crazy about them, I respect it, but I don't go to it and I don't ingest it. So later on, though, I started to realize after years and years and years, these moments when I've had big successes and big peaks and big bunch of interest always were accompanied by, oh, you were doing impressions. And I went, but it took me decades to go, So I've been quite thick-headed about it. But then, so at a certain point, though, I went, all right, you know what? It's a discipline point. Whether I care about it or not, whether it floats my boat, I must do impressions because this is what propels me.
You nurtured it. You didn't let go of it.
Yeah.
You didn't, try to escape from it. And then you found the path.
I found the path. And then I had all these crazy breakthroughs. Like just, you were so kind. You came to that first impression show that I did in Hollywood, Hollywood and Western, where my wife's school used to be. And, I had written this thing. It was really hard to put together. And then, of course, we could talk about this artistically. When you're in the foreign land of this has never been done before, and it's a kind of a dream, and it's only existing in your mind, you have the wonderful, of course, we all know about the wonderful feeling of creation, and that's great. But you also have this, I noticed, this kind of low-level fear of I'm all alone out here.
Absolutely.
This might really suck. Or reveal me to be a fraud, or this weird fear. And you're like, no, I'm just alone. Okay, fine, let's do it. Let's have it be bad.
You can always paint.
Yeah, everybody came to opening night. But then I had a couple other weeks. I'm like, I still need to get people here. And as you know, Phil, getting people to a live show in LA is,
very competitive, very difficult. Yeah.
So I went, well, maybe I'll do a video of this Shakespeare thing that I've always done on stage, where I take this speech from Richard III and I do it in celebrity voices as they call it out. I'll make a little video, try to promote the show. So I spent a couple days doing the video because it was hard to do, not to perform the speech, but to remember the celebrities. Because when I did it in my stage show live, I would have people call it out. I never had to remember anything except for what's the next line of the speech. So it took me a couple of days to actually do it, and I think I had to put up cheat notes okay, it's Morgan Freeman next, Johnny Carson's coming up, okay, good, and Ron Howard.
Sure.
And I finally did it. I put it up on, okay, great. Then we went to see the Eddie Izzard show at Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, my God.
And it was packed. They added a show. And I looked around and I went, how many people at the Hollywood Bowl? I looked it up and 17,000. Seats about 17,000 people. And I went, you're a stand-up comic for 17,000 people. That sounds pretty good. Twice. That sounds pretty good. That sounds about right. And I sort of kind of went, I could embrace that. If I was doing my show, I'd like to do that. So I go home that night, and my video, my little Shakespeare video, has 17,000 something views. And I went, aha, wait a minute. And people came, it was full, I added shows, it was, and I began to be a YouTube person, you know, and that eventually went up to over 1 million views over a few years. But it made me realize, there it is again.
Yeah.
If I do the impressions, stuff happens.
They will come.
They will come.
Is impressionism something that's just a gift, or is it like ventriloquism where you have to really work at it?
It's both, I think. I mean, it's hard from the inside. I don't know how to analyze what's a gift, what's me. All I know is I am interested in it to the degree that I will listen in a particular kind of way, and I will noodle around with my voice the way a musician does. And so that I know the parameters of where I can go and what sort of sound I can create. And
what sort of sounds, very high-end things that I can do. I'm very comfortable knowing
the limits of my voice. So, and then I'm just interested in people and characters. I'm interested in viewpoints. I'm interested in Patrick Stewart's attitude. I just it's nice to become him for a second or two and to experience that. And so I think whether that's talent or just I'm interested. Michael Jordan goes out as a kid into his backyard and shoots hoops for 4 or 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
I mean, he's interested. Was he born with something? Probably.
Yeah.
But it's not all biology.
Practice makes perfect.
It sounds like it's almost as much of a listening exercise as it is a projection.
Yeah, listening. These days, like Phil, I get auditions all the time sent to me by my agents, and I get a lot of voice matching stuff sent to me. I get an email and says, "Can you do this actor? I've never heard of this actor. Who is this?" And you hear a little snippet of something that they have to replace from a movie. Like recently, I did Roy Scheider's voice for his last film that was never finished. And I was excited about that because for me, it's a game. It's it's my hole in one. If I can do a recording and someone says that sounds like Roy Scheider, I don't know. I feel like I score. And sometimes it bites me in the ass because, you go, okay, I wonder if I could do this voice. Yes, I could do it. Oh, this is a crappy job. Yeah. These are people I don't want to work for, which happens sometimes. But the game of it, the game's afoot.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question about this. I speak a lot of languages,
right.
You're a polyglot. And I do a lot of dialects.
Yeah, a lot.
And
brilliant.
That's because I always felt like I had a little tape recorder in my head.
You do.
Right? And now, have you had a similar kind of feeling that, you hear something?
Absolutely. Well, if you can't play back, if you can't recall things, then you can't really do this job. You can't really. I mean, any artist has to recall things, even if they're like, David Hockney. He has to kind of go, Yorkshire, where I grew up. It's like there's these trees and this road, and I'll take it back to the studio and noodle around with it. The light was kind of lavender. He's got to be able to have a mental picture and a library of great things that he's.
You have created a character who is an art teacher, critic,
historian, really.
He's an historian.
He is a historian.
Professor
Nestor
Jackdaw.
Yeah.
Right.
And I can't fully do his voice without the fake teeth.
Oh, that's true.
I'm doing my best.
That's right.
My teeth are a little too groomed.
and he's at what? Not Loudmouth.
Oxmouth.
Oxmouth.
In England, yeah.
Absolutely charming. And in your show, again, you ask for suggestions from the audience as to what it is that he's looking at. Is it a statue?
Yeah, this is another thing I discovered. People say, "Hey, will you come and entertain at this thing?" And you're like, "Yeah, what the hell am I going to do?" And I thought up this. I had this character, Nestor Jackdaws, who's based on an actual professor I had in college named Jasper Rose, who was just fantastic. And my character has turned into a very weird version of him.
Funny caricature.
Yeah, it's completely
charming,
completely different chap. But I had this idea of if I get an audience, the audience gives me the suggestion of a title of a painting or a work of art, and then I just sort of project it in the air and describe it so that they eventually see it. And I tried it out.
It's pretty
and
magical.
People loved it. And then I still neglected it. And then I did it again, and people loved it. And I went, oh, okay, yeah. And then I did it enough times to go, all right, you idiot. People really like this. So maybe you should do something more with it.
A lot of it is characterization as well as just spot-on mimicry.
I guess, yeah. I mean, the way I approach it is Ross Marquand and I have talked about this a lot, is that an actor tries to be that character. So that means
Yeah.
Anything that you observe or can receive from that person, physicality. If I've only heard the voice of the guy and have never seen him, then I only get that amount. But if I've like Jack Nicholson, I've watched Jack Nicholson since I'm a teenager. I know what he's doing with his wrists and his ankles, for God's sake.
And you're Robert De Niro. I mean,
De Niro as well, same thing. I mean, long time watching him. And, how he's not very impressed in general.
How does how you feel about somebody or like about somebody affect your impersonation?
It does, and I tend to just do guys that I really respect and love. The affinity is very high. And where the affinity is high, you understand more about the person and can communicate like them, right? That's just the way things work. The people you hate, you don't really understand them. Mm-hmm. They don't understand you. Mm-hmm. You can't communicate with them. And, unless that changes, unless that formula changes and you can get more communication and more understanding, the affinity is just going to hang in the basement like that.
You don't want to embody them any more than you want to hang out with them.
I don't want to have anything to do with them. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, and sometimes we, there's certain impressions that we used to do, certain voices that we don't do anymore. This is a Bill Cosby thing that we just don't touch anymore.
The pudding, yes.
The pudding. We don't. It has a whole other meaning now.
I know, isn't that something?
Even Kevin Spacey. There are guys that we just kind of, maybe we don't do that impression anymore because it means something else, and it has a lot to do with how audiences feel about them too. I have a friend, John Domenico, whose name I always say wrong, and he is a specialist in Trump and has toured the country as Trump and was touring the country as Trump prior to 2016. And, he just has been riding this wave of going around and doing it for pro-Trump groups and anti-Trump groups. I mean, his act apparently is adjustable to, the extremes. So that's an example of someone riding the wave very,
that is
very well.
Interesting. And you're very aware of that, obviously, from what your audiences tell you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't feel like I've got a huge audience, really, that is hanging on my every word. When people comment on my YouTube videos, I eventually get back to them because it's just, I've developed all kinds of little friendships with people. That is actually one of the ways that people have friendships these days.
That's right.
Online friendships is
absolutely
a big deal. And these are people that consume my content every day. They watch my fortune cookie videos. They comment on it. They engage. And I'm like, oh, great. I'm happy to talk to you. One day maybe we'll meet. I actually started doing kind of Zoom hangouts with my YouTube fans.
That's nice.
6 or 7 people show up, but 12 people show up, but we see each other. We can talk and interact.
Very nice.
And hopefully it's exciting for them. And I like it because I do better with lots of interaction. I loved living in New York City because it was so different from LA. In New York City, as you know, at any given time, you can walk down the street and you can have 10 conversations and have 10 different points of view.
Yeah. And see different characters moving around,
It's the richness of life, to me, is their viewpoints and your interaction with them. It's just so exciting.
They're not in cars.
New York City is a pedestrian city. It's a pre-combustion engine city.
That's true.
And it goes as fast as you want it to go. Mm-hmm. If you're running here, doing that, grabbing a slice of pizza, doing this meeting, everybody's accelerated, so the in-passing conversations are quick. Mm-hmm. But they're rich.
Right.
Because that...
You mean the ones you overhear?
Or you even engage in.
Or you engage in,
both.
I love the ones you overhear. You catch a snippet of it. And then it fell off the side of her head. I mean, the doctor should have... That's all you get.
My favorite New York story was I was going to have breakfast at a Greek restaurant on 8th Avenue. Uh-huh. I'm walking along, and some pedestrian goes in front of a car, and the car screeches to a stop, and the guy leans out and says, "Fuck you!" And the guy who's almost hit says, "Fuck you!" And 2 people walking across the street was completely detached from this, go, "Fuck you, fuck you," and then everybody laughed.
Wow.
The epitome of living that close to people all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you are an actor. Uh-huh. What kind of roles have you been doing?
Some really cool ones. Yeah, I just got off of 2 big projects, and nobody's told me not to talk about them, so
good.
Hell with it. I worked with Sean Penn and Julia Roberts on a show that's going to come out next year called Gaslit. And
it's a series?
It's a series. It's a Watergate series.
Oh, wow.
She plays Martha Mitchell.
Oh, wow.
Great.
And he plays John Mitchell. And under a lot of prosthetic makeup.
Oh.
To the degree that when I met Sean Penn, and he came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm Sean." I went, "You are?"
What a Washington power couple they were.
Yeah.
Martha Mitchell.
Well, it's very interesting. I'm going to go out on a limb here a little bit, and you guys are so sharp and intelligent. I've been very pleased to work on a very few interesting dramas that are based on historical events. I did Apollo 13, and that was fascinating. And then you research it, right? And you find out all kinds of stuff about the space program. Then earlier than that, I did Inherit the Wind. Now, Inherit the Wind is a popular play that everybody loves and has great dramatic moments, and it's based on true events. Well, when I was on Inherit the Wind, I made the mistake of researching the true event, and I found that, Inherit the Wind is a really great play. It really has very little to do with what actually happened in the Scopes trial and what it all means, and the whole message of it is very, very different. The Scopes
monkey trial, right?
Yeah, the Scopes monkey trial. But I continued to research anyway. And in this one, the Watergate thing, I'm like, Watergate, yeah, I was a kid when Watergate was happening. You were a college student, right? Or just out of college.
Yeah.
I remember all these names, and I remember the faces because Mad Magazine always was lampooning these guys, and they had such amazing faces. Nixon, nobody has ever looked like Nixon except maybe Joe Walsh and John Mitchell and Hubert Humphrey. All these strange characters that we had shoved in our face, and I was trying to draw them all the time because Mad Magazine was drawing them, Mort Drucker was drawing them. So I was aware of Watergate, but I was like, you know what? I'm 62 years old now. I don't really remember what Watergate really was.
It's just Watergate over the bridge to you.
Exactly. So I began to do a little bit of research, and they said, well, this movie, Gaslit, is based on a podcast. So I tried to find that podcast. I thought, well, I'll listen to that and get some information about it. I was playing a senator, and I had some really, really nice scenes that you'll see, I hope. And I thought I found the right podcast, but I found a different podcast. And this different podcast, I have to just say, is called The Mysteries of Watergate. And it blew my mind. This one researcher, now it's one of the worst produced podcasts I've ever heard in my life. Oh. It's as if the guy could say 3 words and had to cut, and it's all cobbled together. There's all this noise and things.
Oh, like our show.
Yeah. But the information in it is absolutely mind-boggling, and it spins Watergate completely on its head. Completely. Not that Nixon was, he turned out to be just an innocent victim. It's more complicated than that, obviously. But the fact that the CIA were all over Watergate. Oh, yeah. And the Washington Post was basically trumpeting CIA information. Fascinating. But it made me think, once again, here I am involved with this thing. I was so happy to be part of it. And now I'm like, I don't know what this is about. This is about making a living and playing the scenes well.
That's right.
It's not there's no virtue signaling.
No, you have to immerse yourself in the moment.
Gaslit.
Gaslit.
When do you think that's going to be out?
Don't know. Next year sometime. I mean, it's vast. And the way that they're shooting these limited series now, some of them, 2 of them that I've been involved in, they have a 8-episode arc. They're basically shooting them all at the same time. It's like they're shooting an 8-hour movie.
Yeah.
And so I can't imagine how they put that all together.
You've been in 5 Ron Howard pictures.
I have. I've been in 5 Ron Howard films, yeah. And hopefully I'll be in a few more. I don't know. I just saw Ron recently. Of course, he and his brother have released a book, a memoir called The Boys, which is absolutely fascinating and charming and great. Their parents were awesome, Rance and Jean Howard. I knew them both. I worked with Rance on The Grinch, actually. We spent a lot of time together. And Rance was, he grew up on a farm. So he was real salt of the earth guy. They were actors from Oklahoma. And they started a dynasty. Both their young kids were stars of hit TV shows in the 60s.
That's right.
And they split up, and one had to go to the East Coast, one had to stay on the West Coast in Burbank to help with the kids. And those are 2 examples of, the only 2 examples that you can readily think of child actors of that period who did not flame out, who did not, go down some weird, crazy, dark path. And Ron Howard became, the head of a dynasty and is still an unbelievably great director and innovator. So it's a great story.
So when you're on the set with him and you can't help yourself but to do an impression.
Oh, I can help it. Very good control over that.
The question is, when you do their voices, sometimes to their face, do they hear you?
Well, I don't, because in the same way that when you hear your recorded voice, you go, there's a moment of foreignness. There's a moment of disassociation. When an impressionist, no matter how good they are, first of all, they're still leagues away from what the guy actually sounds like. The best voices that I do, if you put them side by side with the original, there's a huge gulf there. There always will be. But for entertainment purposes, you just need to really infer strongly that voice and that character. And then people are like, that's the enjoyment we're going to get out of it. Mm-hmm. In more practical aspects, like in a movie where we're trying to replace somebody's voice and we do not want to break the illusion,
that's right.
Then we have to really hunker down and use every shift that we can to make it match very, very well. But first of all, I don't do impressions, if I can possibly help it, to the person themselves, because it can't but come off as a bit of an evaluation to the person. Mm-hmm. You know, you're mocking me. Even if my intention is great, there is a mockery quotient, I think, that is kind of unavoidable. So I don't want to make
a caricature.
It's a caricature, yeah. And even if I'm trying to be dead on. Now, I broke this. So I had a policy about that. I don't do it. I don't want to do it. I run into celebrities every now and then, and I'm not going to go, hey, you know, I do your voice and you sound like this. I don't do that, but I did break it out of just stupid enthusiasm. I went to a studio one time, and I rounded the corner, and there's Sam Elliott. And I had just done a Sam Elliott kind of read for something, like something that he should have done, probably a trailer or something. Anyway, and I was like, whoa, I was so excited and such a fanboy. And I went, oh, you know, I was just doing your voice. And doing Sam Elliott. And I'm doing Sam Elliott to Sam Elliott. And he was so charming. He just listened, and, you know, and he went, well, you can really get down there, can't you? and then at that moment, the penny dropped, and I went, you idiot. What are you doing? What? Shut up. Leave the room.
Our voice is going through our bones in our head. So we always hear ourselves differently.
Yeah.
If you ask most people if they like the sound of their voice, unless they're people like us in broadcasting and entertainment, most people do not have antipathy towards their own voice.
I've never felt that personally myself. People keep saying to me, you should do voiceovers.
Yeah.
You also recently worked with Al Pacino.
Well, I didn't work with Al. Al was working somewhere else. You know. He was on the East Coast. I was on the West Coast.
I worked on the show Hunters, and it was a really great experience. And I get to play, I can't say anything about it because it's too much of a spoiler, but I got to play a German judge. This was great because for me, you know, as you know, again, like making the hole in one with an impression, you like to be able to be convincing with an accent. And I feel very confident with the German because I've done actually many commercials and other things with this.
Is there a voice that you can't do? Or
Most of them I can't do. I mean, you're talking about billions of people on this planet.
Can
I can do
Jack
about
Lemmon?
60.
Well, as a matter of fact, I can, Phil, and I'm glad you. The thing about Jack Lemmon is that he shifted gears all the time. I mean, he would be up like this, and then he'd come down.
Yeah, I got to replace his voice in Glengarry Glen Ross. For this is a funny thing. For, you know, that's a very the language is very colorful,
fruity,
to say the
fruity
least.
language,
right?
Yeah.
And they had to, by contract, supply a version of it for airlines.
So he did his airline.
So
story.
yeah, and the very clever way, the words that they would come up with to replace all the naughty words.
What were some of the words?
Oh my God! Well, friggin', of course, is always very
Right.
big.
And what the freak is that?
Yeah,
And,
you know, I actually wanted to save that. I've lost the script because I was so impressed. I told him, "This is fascinating that you did that."
My favorite ones are cake sniffer, which is great because there's something nasty about a cake
It does
sniffer.
sound nasty.
It's
doesn't
almost as nasty as the word it's replacing.
Yeah.
But not quite. And the other one is monkey feather.
Monkey.
And
feather.
I've heard monkey feather used. I think it was on the sanitized version of the movie Traffic. And Don Cheadle called somebody a monkey feather. And I thought, that is a great word.
Have you ever counted up how many impersonations you do?
Well, I did kind of have to count them up because I had them on a list, and I again though it ebbs and flows, because I add new ones off, I take some away. So it's in the 70s, I'd say, in the 70s of ones that I can kind of bang, just do.
Yeah.
Others I have to kind of warm up into a little bit, or others I got to refresh my memory. But YouTube is such a great resource for that. If I want to study somebody, I just last night. Okay, so last night I was watching Michael Keaton get interviewed, and I realized, that's good, that's interesting. He's got an interesting voice. He's got an interesting sort of delivery.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I research that way, and you can kind of get a lot. You can get a lot of data from YouTube. You can get a lot about that person, particularly if it's not them playing a character, but them being interviewed. I go to the interviews,
Right.
to see them. What's the raw material?
That's another thing that I admire about you. If you go to Jim's YouTube site, you talk about acting. You talk about the process that you're in your life.
Yeah, I've got a little series called Actor Tips.
Yes.
Yeah. Right now, what I'm working on is I'm creating an online course about impressions and voice acting, and I was approached by a company that wanted me to do that. So I'm it's a very weird sort of process to sort of say, well, what do I do that would help another person write it? And we've shot it all, so that's good. We did that during the pandemic, and it's going to launch pretty soon.
One of the things that you've done also is you've kind of been on the cutting edge of technology in terms of expressing your talent of mimicry visually,
right,
as well.
With the deep fake, yeah.
Boy, that's weird. I saw that. That was really extraordinary.
Yeah, it's still new and interesting to people, although that video is now, 3-4 years old.
Yeah.
And the story of that was that I was approached by email by a guy in England, a guy in Manchester named Shamuk. His real name is Sam, but his handle is Shamuk. I don't know why. I should ask him someday. And he said, hey, I've been looking for an impressionist to collaborate with this technology. And I was like, what? And he had sent me a little clip of one of my videos that he had done a treatment to. And I forget what he did, if he turned me into Morgan Freeman or he turned my face into somebody. And it was only, 10 seconds. But me and my family were just flabbergasted. Right? Yeah, our jaw dropped.
You were in front of a neutral gray background. Looks very simple. And then you start doing your impressions.
It's a poem I wrote called Pity the Poor Impressionist.
And there's just a suggestion, well, wait a minute, his face is morphing.
My nose widens, or my eyes change slightly, and then it starts to get really extreme, and mustaches drop out of nowhere, and skin color changes entirely, and it starts to get more like, hey, wait a minute. Well, that's a technique called deep fake, and it is, I don't understand it, but it has to do with the fact that we can, with celebrities, we have so much data that is available that the supercomputers can crunch all this information and take my face or another person's face and stick, the parameters and the characteristics of that celebrity's face very seamlessly onto yours.
How would somebody find this video?
Well, you go to YouTube and type in my name and deep fake. It's called Pity the Poor Impressionist, but you'll find a lot of stuff if you just go to my channel and look up the deep fakes that are there. I've done several with that fellow now became quite famous and now is working for ILM. So he got a good job for himself as a SFX guy.
That's Industrial Light and Magic.
I was lucky to get in on the kind of ground floor of that. I don't know how to do it myself, but I think it's in the short amount of time that I've been involved with it, it's already something that you can get in multiple apps on your phone to some degree.
You have an appointment
I do.
this afternoon. Fitting.
A fitting. I have a fitting of some decorative things that I wear. Yeah. Yeah.
Your own personal prosthetics.
Yeah, exactly. When I started losing my hair in my late 30s, I guess, I had an agent at the time I didn't work with for very long, but he took me aside and he said, do you think you could get a kind of a fuller hair look? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. You want me to grow my hair? No, just a fuller look. And he was talking about getting a hairpiece.
Right.
And I think he eventually actually used the word hairpiece. And at the time I went, what's the matter with you? A hairpiece? Are you trying to, who do you think I am? Like it's an insult, like, do you think you should dress up like a clown half the time? So, because in my mind, a hairpiece was this kind of awful hairpiece that we
Yes.
see on people where it just screams hairpiece, toupee. And so I didn't have the reality.
Toupee or not toupee.
Exactly. And then I worked on The Grinch. And on The Grinch, they made me a little Hollywood hairpiece.
Aha.
A net front, lace front wig that was so intoxicatingly realistic that I stared at myself in my dressing room mirror for hours, going, "Wow, look at that! Wow, look at! Oh my God! Wow!" Because I never knew, and like a lot of us don't know that many of the actors that we watch for years and years are wearing, David Niven wore a hairpiece.
That's
Who
right.
knew? Wow, all these guys, tremendous people, but there is an art to it, and when it's done well, you don't notice that it's a
That's
hairpiece. You
right.
just say, "What a wonderful full haircut
That's
that
right.
actor has right now." So I started wearing a hairpiece for specific things. Now, I don't wear it all the time. If I get an audition and it's an insurance salesman, a dentist, a politician, or something like that, I go, well, I don't need a hairpiece for this. But when I do my impressions show, I do like to have a little hair because I think it just changes the presentation and makes for a more neutral kind of palette, if you will, for the presentation of a lot of different personalities.
It's just like any other device you would use in a performance.
A nice clean shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, or a good microphone. Yeah. Sure.
It's one.
Excellent.
Well,
So I have to go to my hair fitting.
this has been as fascinating as I thought it would be because I've known you for quite a while now, and we love one another.
Yes, we do, deeply.
And we have a lot in common.
A lot in common.
And I hope that we've been able to share some of that with our listeners today. And I absolutely encourage you to go to YouTube and take a look at
just
what
look up
Jim is doing.
Meskimen.
It's quite wonderful. So thank you so much, and thank you for driving me here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's $34.98.
All right,
If you round up.
All right, here, give me the thing. I'll write
Yeah,
it.
there we go. There we go. Well, thank you guys. It's really been fun. I appreciate it.
This is Ted,
And I'm Phil.
or something like.
Yeah. Bye.
You've been listening to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show, featuring Phil Proctor and Ted Bonnet and their special guest, Jim Meskimen. Music by Eddie Betos and the Nervous Brothers. To hear all the Sexy Boomer shows, go to our website, sexyboomershow.com. Be sure to subscribe to the show for free and never miss an episode. I'm A. Ernest Guy. Stay tuned for the next episode of Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show, produced by RadioPictures.com, the makers of fine podcasts for seasoned hipsters, man.